All right. Um, so we are going to make this, I guess, just another chat that we've been having. We've been having a couple of chats lately, and it's just to try to get more understanding of this and how us as veterans are being affected, how we are going through this, because a lot of the things are most people don't know. The first thing I want to start off with is the fact that I believe that this whole I'm starting to not be a fan of Doug Collins, our VA secretary. He seems to be a yes man more than anything. He doesn't seem like he is actually trying to. He's not the person we should have in that position right now. That's the feeling I'm starting to come towards. That's the feeling I'm starting to view. That's the feeling I'm starting to incorporate into what we do. And when I pay attention to these changes and all this stuff that's going on right now, we have a person in this position that instead of standing up for veterans, I believe is more of a yes man. He's not trying to make sure that we are cutting like cutting the proper things. It's more of a we're gonna get rid of these things because that's what we think we should get rid of. But he's being told to get rid of these things. We have so far gotten rid of 2,400 employees. Most of those were probationary period, which was basically probationary period. Now, a memorandum has been leaked because it wasn't supposed to come out. This was something that I guess was supposed to stay internal to the VA, but somebody decided to send it out and submit it to other people and report it to the news. Magically, Doug Collins just happens to have a video that comes out talking about it. So I think that's more of like a crowd control kind of situation, or hey, let's not let this get out of hand with people doing it. And I think people fail to realize that part where it's just like these things are happening and they are just, trying to paint the picture that they're keeping you aware. But what awareness have we actually been receiving? Because when you told us 1,000 people got fired, you didn't really tell us why they got fired, and you didn't really have a reason for them to be fired. They just got fired because they were on probationary periods. You had another cut of 1,400. People got fired. Yet, no justification. There's no actual evaluation process as to were these people terrible at their job? Were they doing a good job? We still don't know. We still don't have an answer to that. Now, documents are coming out and memorandums are coming out, and the news is reporting it that they are planning to reduce the VA workforce by 80,000. So they are trying to take it back to the time period of when most veterans just strictly hated the VA. 4 years ago, we could attest to the fact that veterans were basically saying that, hey, our care is trash. We don't have these things. We're not being taken care of. Wait times are ridiculously longer than they should be. All this stuff was being placed in there. This is all we spoke about. And veterans came together and started speaking on it, started arguing, started standing up, started marching, started going to Congress, starting to talk to these things like, hey, we need better help and we need better assistance. Since 2020, we've had the PACT Act enacted. That alone has been a crucial piece of legislation that has you can basically say that that piece of legislation has helped so many veterans out right now because of the situations we're in right now. We are dealing with toxic exposures. We are dealing with all this stuff. And yes, I do understand that the DAVs coming out, all these organizations need to start making noise. Because the thing is a lot of the organizations like the DAV, the BFW, Wounded Warrior Project, the American Legion, all these people have connections to Congress and they listen to them and they have the reason that they have these congressional meetings and hearings and committees that we have the Veteran Affairs committees. But at the same time, if you're part of the Veteran Affairs committees, how are you okay with 80,000 personnel reduction? Mind you, their excuse and their way of trying to alleviate some kind of animosity towards them is basically saying, hey, we're going to hire 300,000 mission critical personnel. What's mission critical? What's non-mission critical? I don't think anybody has gotten that answer. I don't think anybody has been able to identify what mission critical and what non-mission critical jobs and employees are. Because for me, I would think, at least this is my thinking or my reasoning. If you are a VA employee that is working for our suicide prevention hotline or the crisis hotline, and you are cutting personnel from there, I would think those would be essential people or mission critical people, because these are people that are in place to make sure that us veterans do not have or continue to have our 22 a day veterans that lose themselves, lose their thought process, and think that it's better to just give up. These are jobs that are essential, but were deemed not essential and they were fired. Now we have the criteria of we have 80,000 more. We are going to cut these jobs, but these jobs are going to cut and do what exactly? Because we already have massive backlogs. We already have increased wait times. So are these mission essential, these 300,000 mission essential, are they surgeons? Are they doctors? What are these positions that they're trying to hire? And what are these positions that they plan to cut? Because, like I said, previous levels, they want to go to 2020 levels before the PACT Act, before all this. So it seems to me like this administration is trying to remove. So all the hiring that was done the past 2 years due to the PACT Act, to make sure veterans were getting seen more, to make sure there was more C&P examiners, to see more evaluations. Most of those jobs now are planning to be removed or are going to be cut. So exactly how does this benefit veterans? They also made the notification. It's just like, hey, we found all these contracts and we're cutting contracts. And the contracts that we've cut is over $1 billion. That's it sounds great, right? It sounds great. Like, hey, we're going to lose all these jobs and all these contracts that aren't needed. But then supposedly we're going to get it back into the healthcare. So where exactly is this healthcare going to be justified? Because you got to remember that the VA covers the whole country, covers all veterans. Every VA facility is not built the same. Every VA, see, somebody just said, look, Jimmy Elmo just got back from the VA and he saw that a video was in case there was a video to let them know. Somebody just stated, yep, just got back from a VA outpatient clinic. It was closed. No employees were anywhere to be seen. Anyone else had the same experience? Yep, I don't know. Because that's the problem with it. The thing is we have outpatient clinics and we have the hospitals. We have the main hospitals. So where are these cuts coming from? Because you got to remember, 80,000 across a workforce of 400,000 doesn't seem like much. But when it's a certain number of veterans are being affected that their clinic is no longer open, or the doctor or the C&P examiners that they had in that area are no longer available, what does that mean? That still means longer wait times. That still means you still have to send a veteran out, who knows, maybe an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, to go get seen and be taken care of. These are all things that are being put into that thing, but I don't know of anybody that's had that experience yet. You may be the first that's dealing with that. And then there's more to come because, like they said, there's still more cuts. They're trying to restructure the VA. Mind you, I'm all for efficiency. I got no problem with that. The thing is that when you have no plan at all as to how you're going to fix the VA, but you keep on trying to tell veterans we're going to fix the VA, that's an issue. That's a major issue. Because you're telling veterans, yes, we have this, we're saving money here, we're saving money there. But then all it's affecting is the bottom line for veterans to be taken care of. Because you want to put it, and every video Doug Collins says, we're going to put it back into the VA healthcare. What does that mean? Because programs are getting cut now off of these contracts. Employees are being cut through their wave of cuts. What exactly are we receiving? What exactly are we seeing? What exactly are we going to obtain from these cuts? The thing is if you outsource the VA, it's going to cost more. It's going to cost more. Because what we don't understand is, remember, when you look at these jobs, they're GS jobs, there's a pay scale. They stay under that pay scale. You get certain criteria, you get paid at the same amount. If you are going to a private entity to try to outsource the VA, you're going to be paying these people more than you were paying the employees that are at the VA. So there's not going to be any cost savings. You're actually going to make it more expensive. And then where are you going to get these funds from? Because you're saying you're saving so much, but then if you're outsourcing it, it's going to cost more. The same way when, hey, like I tell many service members, they do their time in service, then they decide to get out of the service and they do contracting. The private sector is going to pay way more than they did on the other way. Crazy, I thought Congress needed to agree with any governmental cuts. Blame this dysfunction on this administration, who is most condoned a bunch of non-Americans making bad decisions for Americans. The issue is that people aren't speaking out on that. People are not talking about that. People are not mentioning that. People are very hesitant to say those things and say, hey, this administration is not right now working towards everybody. Because the thing is, like you mentioned, Doge right now, I understand the concept. It isn't the first time this happens in this government where people are, losing jobs and that stuff. It happens. There's a reduction in government. There's savings across. But those other entities, when they did that, it was more cause why? Because they actually went and took the time to evaluate the programs, evaluate performance, evaluate employees. So that way they knew, you know what? This is a bad person to be working for us. Let's remove them. This is a person that, you know what? They're doing a great job. Let's keep them. That's not happening with Doge. It's literally, hey, this person was on a probationary period. So, and the people, and most people don't look at it this way and don't think about it in this manner. Probationary periods last about 1 to 2 years. So all of the hiring that Joe Biden did during his administration and funding the VA to make sure that the PACT Act was taken care of and more care and more evaluations and more processing of stuff was done was through the previous administration. Remember, the PACT Act was enacted in August of 2022. Throughout that time period, more and more people were being hired to try to reduce the influx of veterans that now were able to use our healthcare, that now were service connected because it was presumptive, or they served in a certain area, or they know they were exposed to a certain thing. So all these people that were hired basically are now being removed. So exactly how is that going to become more efficient? And what are you telling veterans? You're telling veterans that less people are going to be able to manage the processing, the care, and the looking after of veterans with less people available to do it. So now you're going to have less employees to process disability claims. You're going to have less people conducting C&P examinations. You're going to have less people, or even probably less doctors, because the thing is if you're cutting money towards what you're saying, you're hiring them, those people make more money outside of the VA. So unless you're going to start a new structure of payment for these people, why would they stay with the VA? Some people are leaving now just because they don't want to deal with the possibility of losing their job without notice. You know what it is to be a person that was doing such a great job that they got promoted and then they ended up losing their job because they were under probationary period, but they actually weren't evaluated? Now, 80,000 jobs. If, Secretary Collins decides to actually give us a listing of these are the mission essential jobs. These are the non-mission essential jobs. We'll be cutting from this workforce, or we'll be cutting from that workforce. I think veterans would be a bit more at ease understanding where these cuts are going to and how it will affect them. But all we keep hearing is the same thing. He's mentioned it in every video. We're making sure to put all those things back into healthcare and benefits of veterans. If the VRE program is being cut, the VRE program, which most veterans have no idea what the VRE program is, but you're telling me that the VRE is about to remove or has been losing people, meaning when it comes to employment for veterans after their time in service, you ain't going to have the same amount of counselors because counselors are being cut in half. So it's already people swamped with assisting veterans, and now you are trying to reduce the number of help available even more. It's just like you're cutting veterans' jobs, which you're still cutting other civilians because it's not only veterans that work at the VA, but you're cutting it out. Yeah, VRE is the aka Vocational Rehabilitation and Employment, was renamed to Veteran Readiness and Employment. But the counselors are still called Vocational Rehabilitation Counselors. So they're still called by the old name as counselors, but the program got a facelift and a new name. Now, you're removing a bunch of these benefits that veterans have no idea of. I do these workshops every Sunday, and I pop in and do occasional workshops here and there, or just Q&As randomly. But throughout every single one, there's always veterans that have no idea about a certain resource or a certain benefit that was available to them that they had no idea existed. Now you're telling me that they want to cut some of those contracts. They want to cut some of that availability for veterans when veterans don't even know about them. So if a veteran didn't know that they can go to school through the VRE program the same way they had the GI Bill, that's a big difference. Imagine all of these older veterans where they didn't have the GI Bill just readily out. So all these GI Bills that were there, well, basically it's a secondary GI Bill. For a lot of veterans, they didn't have the GI Bill available to them. Certain time periods, there wasn't the GI Bill. The Montgomery GI Bill was different. If you didn't use it in a certain amount of time, it expired. But then you had the VRE program that still allowed you to get that education without having to pay for it, and then they help you with employment. But if you remove that benefit, what are you going to do? You have all these veterans right now that are losing their jobs without notice. You have veterans that, hey, I got the GI Bill, I'm going to use it, but you can use the VRE. But what happens if we start cutting funding for the VRE because we figure it's a useless contract? Because the thing is we have not gotten any clear clarification as to what's important, what's not. It was just like, usually, when it was commander's guidance, you would get the guidance from the commander, and the commander would let you know, this is what I plan to do with this company. This is our plan going forward. This is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to do it. This is how we have our training schedule. This is how we're setting this up. And you know what? Most of the time, when you were in a unit that way, you knew what was going to happen and you prepared for it. In this case right now, we have no fucking idea. Literally, it's people running this that never served in the military. Collins did serve in the military, but Collins is a yes man. You can't tell me that as a veteran that has been a veteran for some time, has known how bad the VA has been and was previously when they didn't have enough people. You want to take it back to those days where we didn't have enough people to service veterans, and you're going to tell me, you're not even going to tell me, you're going to lie to me, because it's a straight out lie. I don't care what anybody thinks about it. To me, that's a straight out fucking lie. There is no fucking way we are going to do better with less people. Not with the VA. Maybe in the military force, like when you're active duty or serving, maybe a reduction isn't that bad, but it's different there because, you know, you got some overweight people. You got those people that don't want to listen. You got to kick them out, chapter them out. And you got seniors that retire. As veterans, we don't retire from being veterans. We don't just hang it up and be like, hey, after a couple of years, I'm no longer a veteran. No, you stay a veteran your whole time till you pass away. But what's being taken care of there? What's being paid attention to? Has any veteran gotten any information? Most of the stuff that's going on, the crazy thing about it is, even with Congress, most of Congress has no fucking idea what is going on. So the Veteran Affairs Committees, the Senate and House, are basically being blindsided by these actions that are being taken by Doge. So how is a veteran supposed to contact a congressperson? Because that's what these organizations are going to say. Hey, make sure to contact your congressmen and your representatives. Make sure to let them know what's going on. Shit. For some of these people, we're going to be the one that's letting them know what the fuck is going on. Because that memorandum was pushed out within the VA. You had somebody that is willing to lose their job because of the fact that they wanted to let it be known for all veterans out there that, hey, these people are planning to cut 80,000 more jobs. Because you notice it didn't come from the VA secretary himself. It came after it was already making its rounds all around the internet. And then to save face, there was like, oh, you know, he comes out here and he wants to be transparent. I was just like, I've never seen transparency where you still don't tell me what the fuck you doing. What transparency is there if you can't tell me what the fuck you doing? You as the VA secretary have no idea where these cuts are coming from or how to administer them. That's already a bad sign for veterans. And the thing is I said that I was talking to somebody earlier. It's just like, I don't want to bring fear to veterans. That's the last thing I fucking want to do. I don't want to have veterans scared and stuff like that. But what I want veterans to start doing is we need to start acting and saying things. We need to start speaking out. We need to start asking these questions. Because the thing is they weren't planning to tell us that 80,000 jobs are coming. Because that memorandum in it says that the 80,000 is to be done by August of this year. Mind you, we just started March. We just started March and you are trying to cut 80,000 more after you already cut 2,400. Mind you, there are some veterans out there that have received that letter. Some of y'all don't know what that letter is. Some veterans have already started receiving letters saying that the VA is apologizing for the possible delays. Possible. Why are you bullshitting veterans anymore? Why? Like, of all people that could probably take it straight up and be told what the fuck is going on, I think veterans are the easiest one to tell, hey, bruh, your shit ain't happening right now. Your claim? Yeah, you gonna be waiting. We'll take that L, but at least we understand. Because if you telling me, oh, there's going to be possible delays, what the fuck is a possible delay? Is it a month? 2 months? 3 months? A whole month? Just 2 weeks? A year? 2 years? Because you got to remember, not every veteran deals with these issues. Some are already 100 P&T. They don't got to worry about it. And that's another problem. A lot of those veterans that are already 100% P&T ain't paying attention to it. Because they see it as, oh, they don't care. It's not their issue. They're already 100% P&T. But then they're failing to realize that even though you're 100% P&T, you still have benefits and resources that are available to you as a veteran. Yeah, you get your monthly compensation. But if you decide, hey, you know what? They decide the VA loan, is costing them too much money. We need veterans now to start putting in some part of that down payment. Most veterans won't even realize it's happening because they're not planning to buy a home, especially not with these prices nowadays. But imagine if they tell you you no longer have that benefit. Imagine if they tell you you can't use the VRE program. Imagine if they tell you that, oh, you got surgery scheduled, but due to the fact that we fired that doctor that was gonna do that surgery, we gotta, push it to the right. And we all know how pushing to the right ends up doing. That shit just keeps on getting kicked down further and further. The same way Doug Collins says, oh, we're not gonna kick it down the road anymore. So then why are you waiting all these months to try to get down 80,000? Are you now, mind you, if you're going to cut the 80,000 and you tell me that you did performance evaluations, you checked out what they did, you seen the products that they were producing or what it was. Like some of the stuff that they said was getting cut, I agree with. Like some of the shit was stupid. It was just like you got outside people training people that work at the VA. That is a waste of money. That is a waste of money. Oh yeah. I don't understand how you're going to build retention numbers, but at the same time, you know what it is? They always want to lie and fluff about the numbers and make it sound like what they're doing is fucking great. Because remember, Collins came out like a week or two ago that, hey, under this administration, we have processed the fastest to get to 1 million processed disability claims. Mind you, the process started October 1st of 2024. Meaning from October 1st to January 20th, anything that was processed and taken care of was under the previous administration. But these people want to take advantage and try to use it as, oh, we did this. Boy, y'all only been in office for like a month plus. And all y'all have done is reduce stuff. Y'all haven't added anything. What added benefit has been added to the VA since these people took it? Has there been any benefit? I haven't heard of anything being pushed that has been assisted, except maybe the expansion of, what was it? The toxin. It was expansion part of the PACT Act, but that was already in motion through the last administration. So this administration hasn't really done shit to actually help us, but they're cutting, but they're not being upfront about it. Because like I said, you're not going to tell me that Doug Collins was actually going to tell us that they were about to cut 80,000 jobs. Because right now, a lot of veterans are not happy with the fact that 2,400 people lost their jobs. So now you're telling me you are going to lessen the workforce by another 80,000, meaning those are veterans included in that? That's just random families that, hey, might have moved, might have just gotten a job. Now they ain't going to be with a job. So now you're going to put veterans and those people in a predicament where they're not going to have a job. Yet, we're saving so much money, right? Why can't you tell me where the money's going to go? Because it was that simple for you to tell me that you saved money on these programs and you are cutting people without any justifiable reason, but you can't actually tell me where you plan to put the money into. So are you just going to try to cut as much as possible till veterans had enough? Or till you guys feel, Doge or whoever's actually making these cuts, because it's not the secretary. I could tell you that much. Doug Collins doesn't look like he has any sort of backbone to tell Doge or Donald Trump, like, hey, man, they actually need this program. They actually need this. This is not something we should cut. This is something we need to actually make stronger. Because if you have a backlog that's been a backlog for like 2+ years, I would consider that essential. But people got fired from those positions. Some of these people are being asked to come back. Mind you, remember that letter that Elon is sending out? Mr. I need you to tell me 5 different things that you are doing throughout the week. And if you don't do it, you might lose out. So what is the determination there? What if it's like, hey, I processed this amount of claims, I helped this amount of veterans, I did this, this, and that. and they don't find that worthy enough. Where's the evaluation there? Where's the actual metrics that are going to show that us veterans are going to be taken care of more or better or more efficiently with less people working in that program? You want to take it from, I think it was like 470,000 employees to like about 380, I think is what they said was the number. 470,000 to 380. That's the end thing that they want. 300. So they're saying 80,000 people removed by August, but that would be like more like 90. So where's the other people coming from? But then the way to keep, veterans calm is, but we're still trying to hire people. We're still trying to hire 300,000 mission essential. Like I said, what the fuck is mission essential? Where is mission essential? Where are they going to? Because the thing is veterans across this country need assistance. There's no, look, if you were to tell me that you're making all these cuts and what's going to happen is that veterans can go to any doctor, like literally any doctor, and get coverage, that sounds like a good thing. But that's not going to be the case. Because right now we have the issue where veterans can't get appointments in their community because those community doctors are not within the VA network. So unless you're going to propose that you're going to open it up for VA care everywhere, that's one thing. Then that leads me to Project 2025, which a lot of people didn't read. A lot of people didn't care for. A lot of people didn't actually think it was valid. These things are already in there. The programs and the cuts and the stuff that they're already spoken about in Project 2025. So if you haven't read it, I would just suggest reading the document just to enlighten yourself, just to find some information, just to see what possibly may go wrong next. Because cutting 80,000 people is not going to be a solution. Now, if you told me you were hiring 80,000 people, yes, that is going to cost money. But if you just save so much money from supposedly the little bit of contracts that you viewed, that's kind of crazy. To think that all that money has been spent and it's just like you were able to find this amount of money in this little bit of programs, but then you're cutting indiscriminately and not actually paying attention to what the programs provide. There's cuts going around everywhere. It's not like it's specific. So that's what makes it even more concerning. So it's just like if VRE counselors are being removed, crisis line employees are being removed. You can hear about certain jobs, certain positions. What was it when they changed the GSA, so the government supply authorizations basically, changed it so that they couldn't purchase stuff. So that puts a hindrance on being able to provide and repurchase things that veterans actually need, or a veteran clinic needs, or a veteran hospital needs. Shit, we just had somebody say that their whole clinic was shut down and nobody around. If that's going to be the case, now what does that mean for any veterans that may have a clinic shut down or their doctors no longer around? That means longer wait times. That means you need to travel. Mind you, I already can tell you that they're going to try to do something about the travel pay reimbursement. Shit, they already want to make it that if you are only 10 or 20% disabled, you're not going to get anything. See, look, all government purchase cards are frozen. That means any veteran hospital is basically working off of whatever they have in stock. So if they had an order to fulfill something, won't be able to do it. I had a veteran ask, it was just like, does this mean that my surgery is no longer going to happen this year? That kind of bothered me because it was just like, hey, man, I'm sorry I said what I said, and that's the first thought that came to your head. Because I don't want veterans to think like, oh, shit, I'm not going to get the surgery. I'm not going to get the assistance and stuff like that. The thing is we have to keep open ears, open eyes, and we need to pay attention to this. Because the thing is all these cuts, all these contracts being eliminated, all these people getting fired, dismissed, or whatever they want to call. We haven't even gotten to the people that wanted to actually resign and use that resignation part where it's just like, hey, y'all gonna pay me? We're gonna resign it. Why? Because Congress hasn't appropriated any funds for that. So that was full of shit. And then some of those people that actually wanted to resign, they said, nah, bro, you can't resign. So you got no ability to purchase stuff. You have backlogs that keep on rising. You don't have enough people to actually go through the supplemental claims through in a fashionable, timely period. Higher level claims are not being taken care of any faster. And then board proceedings are not being taken care of. So what you're doing is you're slowing the process, meaning that less veterans can possibly get care they need because of the fact that you're delaying the fact that these processes are not being taking place. It's easy to say, oh, we've processed this many things. That means you received them. Now, if you were to tell me that throughout this whole time period, you've processed, approved or denied, done C&P examinations and done all that for 1 million veterans already, that's fucking amazing. But that's not what they're saying. They're saying that they've processed, meaning they basically received it and they put 1 million of them in the system. You still got C&P examiners. If C&P examiners aren't getting paid, then what's the issue? Let me see. I think it was on the VA News, or it was on the Committee Affairs where, let me see what this is. So this is on the U.S. Senate Committee on Veteran Affairs. So I'm gonna show y'all this and just real quick. Oh, hold on. Make this the page. This is on the Veteran Affairs News. This is what's there. This is so that people are aware. Senate Republicans block Blumenthal, which is the ranking member of Veteran Affairs. Senate Democrats' resolution condemning Trump administration's mass terminations of VA employees and veterans. He then says, they are not faceless bureaucrats. They are not suckers. They are not losers. They are hardworking public servants who have willingly sacrificed everything for this country, willing to give even their lives. So, ahead of President Trump's joint address to Congress and in light of the president's egregious attempts to slash Department of Veteran Affairs, the Senate Affairs Committee ranking member Richard Blumenthal and a group of his Democratic colleagues took to the Senate floor today to ask for unanimous consent to pass a resolution condemning the mass terminations of employees, serving veterans, and their families at VA and calling for those jobs to be reinstated. And like I said, over the last month, the Trump administration has illegally terminated 2,400 VA employees critical to serving veterans, including a substantial number of veterans and military spouses. So this is where I have that conflict. You got the VA secretary telling me these weren't critical jobs. Then you got the senator of the Veteran Affairs Committee saying that they are critical jobs. Which one is it? Which one is it? Which one are we sitting on? Which one are we standing for? Which one are they actually going against? Because you can keep on reading this and he explains all this and he talks about it and it goes through it. And that was what? 2 days ago? So where's that information at? Because the thing is you're getting stuff approved, you're getting stuff there. And hey, Jimmy, if a lot of claims are being decided in February, that's great. But the thing is going forward, how does that work? We're not going to have the same workforce. Now, like I said, what's critical and what's not? Because is reviewing claims, being a VA rater, is that an essential mission critical job? Or our mission critical jobs are doctors, surgeons, nurses, what dentists, certain specialty doctors. Are those the 300 critical? But then where are you placing those? Because not every VA facility has the people it needs. It was just like all these senators and all these people are doing this, but who's listening to the committees? It's not like the committees are being asked, and these are the people in charge of this. It's not like Doug Collins was asked. Remember, they just removed the previous one. There was no, remember how most people used to do it, or in most places, that you had a left seat, right seat? You know, left seat, right seat, know what was going on. You incoming, they're outgoing. You would know the process. They would tell you, oh, this is how we run things. This is how we do things. This is how we do this. This is how we manage this. This is how we manage that. And it's just like, And it's just like, it's going to take some time. For anything that's going on right now, it's going to take some time, because the thing is the VA don't fucking know what's going on. When the VA has no idea of what's going on, us as veterans have less of an idea. If the secretary of the VA is just listening to the top, or people that don't even know how the actual program works, or never even fucking served in the military, and they're saying, oh, we need to cut this, we need to cut that, and he's just all, you know what, we will cut this, we will do that. How does that help veterans? It doesn't. Cutting anything doesn't work if you don't have a plan. And as we can see, they've already shown, and it's visible to everybody, that there's no actual plan. Without a plan, all it's going to hurt is veterans. You're going to hurt those veterans that are working. You are going to hurt those veterans that are actually getting and using the healthcare. Because you got to remember, there's only maybe a third of veterans actually use. Maybe a third of veterans. I think it's like about a third. I think it's like about a third of veterans actually use the VA healthcare. So now let's say there's more presumptive stuff that starts popping up. Because remember, with the PACT Act, that's what they were doing. They're going to continue to add things once they start seeing that veterans have these issues, and they're trying to implement it more, and they make it, hey, if you served in this time period and stuff like that, we know you were in this area, or we know that. So you don't have to really, well, you still have to file for it, but you still have to go through the process. If the process is going to take longer because your CMP examiner isn't available, that delays it. If it means for you to get seen by a VA rater, that delays it. Now, if you're firing people and you're hiring them back, that's all right. But if you're firing these people to then just hire some random new people, then you got to go through the training process. But you didn't evaluate these people. So how are we making the process more efficient and better if we don't have any metrics? Like, we don't know, like, nobody knows what the fuck is going on. And I think that's the biggest issue we have. Nobody knows. Nobody. The VA don't know. Congress don't know. They want to pass this. They want to do that. And it's just like, yes, a lot of veterans are not a part of an organization. But the thing is even if you are part of the VFW, even if you are a part of the American Legion, even if you are part of the DAV, you have no say. None of these organizations knew about 80,000 people being fired. And like I said, I can assure you that there was no way that they were actually going to tell us that they were about to fire 80,000 people. Because look at the backlash they've received off of 2,400 people. Look at the backlash that this administration has started receiving just with 2,400 people. Now, do you really think they were just going to go ahead and say, yeah, we're going to take away 80,000 of y'all? The numbers do count, but the thing is what numbers? What numbers count? What do they identify as being an important number? We don't know these things. And as veterans, that's why we need to start asking questions, whether it's calling our representatives, because you got to remember, you may have a representative, a senator, or whatever in your state. They might not be part of the House committee. They may not be part of the Senate committee, but they're still a senator. They're still a representative. They still represent you. You are still one of them constituents that they serve. It is on us to start asking these questions, calling them, emailing them, like, hey man, what are they talking about with these cuts? Are these cuts really necessary? Are you going to assist in making sure that veterans in this state don't lose the resources that are available to them? Because it's just sources and availability that's just being stripped away from us. We don't know any better. Veterans don't know any better. Most veterans ain't paying attention. So let me see, where'd I put that at? Because it's like you look at these things and it's just like, stuff is changing. It's going to be more difficult for veterans. Yeah, and I agree with you. There should be more upfront. I would like more transparency, because if you're going to talk about more transparency, you should have been able to tell me that your plan when you started these reductions was to drop it down 80,000. Now, if you would have said that from the beginning, it doesn't catch people off guard. But it's still having workers not knowing if they're going to have a job. And then you have a person that is not in charge, but in charge, but then they say they are in charge and they're not. And it's just like, you got Mike Johnson as your representative. Man, Jimmy, I feel sorry for you. I'm sorry, but I don't like that guy. I don't like a lot of the congressmen and women that we have in Congress right now, because they're talking a whole bunch of bullshit. And they're saying a whole bunch of bullshit. It was just like, you can't tell me that you agree with veterans losing their jobs, but at the same time, it's not something that, hey, this isn't like they're pinpointing veterans to lose their jobs. So I can't say that. But Veterans Affairs is something that's essential to this country. Why? Because that also helps with retention. It helps with bringing people into the service. Because most veterans right now, you can ask them, hey, would you tell your kid to join? Fuck no. And that video is just a fuck no. That's not going to happen. Veterans don't want their kids joining. It was just like, look at the issues I'm going through as a veteran to try to get my benefits, or to try to get my claim done, or to try to have to prove that what I have already in my documentation happened in the military. But it was documented. JC, I don't know. That was considered DEI. You see how they're doing about getting rid of DEI information. So veterans preference, we don't know if that's going to exist. We don't know if that's going to be something that they further cut to not be like, hey, we're not going to give an advantage to veterans to get that 5 or 10 point preference. We don't know that yet. And that's what I think is more concerning. Like I said, I don't want to raise an alarm. I don't want to do it. But the thing is the alarm has already started going off. The alarm is already going off. The thing is how many veterans are listening to this alarm? How many veterans are paying attention to this alarm? Because you reduce certain programs, you reduce certain employees in certain sectors within the VA, it's going to affect veterans in the long run. It's not going to be that veterans are not going to be affected. There's no way anybody could tell me that, oh, losing 80,000 more personnel is going to make it better. Or I'm just hoping maybe I'm wrong. Maybe, hopefully, 80,000 less happens, but there's going to be a time period where these things are going to take into effect. Do we know what this time period is? No, we don't know. We don't know what the hell is going on. Because remember, they're saying, he said it himself, that there's going to be, a time period for us to figure out what's going on. How long is this time period? Because throughout this time, you have veterans that still got years waiting to get decisions or waiting on an appeal or waiting on that. And if you're going to slow that process down, there's only going to be more veterans coming out. Every year, people get out the military. Every year you have people joining, and every year you have people leaving. So every year you have another influx of veterans. Now, it doesn't mean they're going to be in a certain area or whatnot, but that's a big difference also. Because depending on where you're located, depending on whether they're cutting from your location or another, that affects you as a veteran. You may not be using the VRE program, but your buddy might. Now they might say, hey, you no longer have 5 tracks with the VA. Might just be 3, might just be 2. It's too much. There's too much stuff out there that we as veterans don't know. And I think that's the biggest problem that I have with this is just, how do we get this situated? How do we get this information to know, like, you know what? This is what's going on. This is our problem. This is our, I would say this is our fix. But there's no plan. There's nothing there. Nobody knows what the fuck is going on. And I think that's what's agitating more veterans. Keep in mind that they plan to change sleep apnea. They plan to change mental health ratings. They plan to change tinnitus ratings. How does that affect us with less people working and evaluating? If you don't have the CMP examiners to do the stuff and you're releasing them and getting out of those contracts, even though some of them may be needed, how does that affect veterans? How does that fix it? And it's just like, the solution cannot be, I'm going to cut 80,000 people, but you're not going to tell me what other solutions you have. It's like it's me being very skeptical. And hey, we all served. We ain't gonna take it. Well, some veterans like to take shit at face value, which I find to be crazy, but then others don't. The problem is that going with the flow is what got us here. Going with the flow is what got us to not knowing and helping veterans. Going with the flow is what has caused all these claim entities and these claim sharks and these disability claim programs that these companies have to prey on veterans and them not know. That was just going with the flow. Because most veterans are doing the same thing. Well, I heard he was using this company and they got him to 100%. I'm going to use that company too. Mind you, you could go through a VSO, you could do it yourself. And you have these companies taking advantage of it. But at the same time, if it gets to the point where, hey, they're going to take longer to process your stuff, more people are going to end up being preyed upon because they're going to go to those entities. Watching YouTube does help. It has helped. Shit, you watching me right now. I don't know how helpful I can be, but I just try to educate. But some of these entities on YouTube are just trying to make $1. They have this connection to some organization, or hey, we can refer you to this guy. This guy's our own medical doctor. That's part of the issue too. Y'all haven't seen me connect y'all to anybody, have y'all? I show you what the CFR is. I show you what your benefits are. I show you what your exemptions are. I educate you on the stuff that you rightfully earned. I don't try to circumvent the process and try to tell you, oh, file this and you can get to 100%. That doesn't work for everybody. Because otherwise, I would just make a fucking template and push it out to everybody. Hey, you want to make it 100%? Follow these steps. Doesn't work like that for everybody. And the thing is a lot of the fraud that's going on is because of that. But at the same time, it's like, hey, look at what's going on right now. The VA was getting better. And I don't care what any veteran tries to tell me. The VA over the past 4 to 5 years, from those levels that they want to take us back to, has improved. Why? Because there's been more funding. There's been more CMP examiners. There's been more hiring. There's been more processing of claims. If you have all these people that have filed for claims and done all of this, and they are not getting the assistance, they're not being viewed, it is not going to get any better. You can't tell me that the VA has instituted and improved programs that weren't in existence before, and they added it because they wanted to push for it because veterans needed these things. Like the HUD-VASH program with homeless veterans, or the homeless veterans programs. It was just like, it has gotten better. There's no way veterans can say it has gotten worse. But it's also because of the increase in availability. You still got wait times, but those wait times did lessen. Opening it up to the community assisted some. But if you're going to remove that opportunity, which I don't think they're trying to do that, they're trying to privatize it. And it's just like, when you're trying to privatize things, when has privatizing anything been beneficial to those that it was being privatized for? I can't recall an instance where that's happened. I can't recall where the priority becomes actually taking care of veterans instead of making a profit. Because the whole point to assisting veterans isn't fucking making a profit. It's making sure those that sacrificed and gave up all they did and signed up are receiving those benefits on the back end for all the time that they gave to sacrifice for this great country. It's not about making a profit. But once you privatize something, it becomes profit. That's why you have the public sector and the private sector. When it comes to government agencies, they're not there to make a profit. They are there to service those people that it was created for. When you go to the private sector, it's, we're going to service these people, but we need to make sure we are making money on the back end. If you want to make it that the VA is a pay and profit thing, it's going to dilute the actual goodness of it. Because then the thing is you're going to pay out contracts. You're going to do this. You're going to do that. You're not going to save any money. The whole point of this was supposedly to save money. But it's more important to actually take care of the veterans that you're saying you're saving for. There's no savings here. There hasn't been anything that's done. You've saved this money. You've done that. Where can you put the money at? Where are you planning to put the money at? I want to know what these 300 mission critical jobs are. Because nobody knows. Like I just read off of Senator Blumenthal. He said that from those 2,400 people, they were critical. Maybe he was just saying they were critical. But a position, like I said earlier, the crisis line, that's a critical position. Unless they were trash, unless they were not good at their job, that's a critical position. Those positions and those things need to be put in place so that people understand it and see that. If you're not seeing that and you're not viewing these things and you're not taking care of the veterans, it doesn't matter. You can't tell me these cuts and all that stuff have benefited. Like I said, I hadn't seen other veterans getting these letters of, hey, there may be a delay to your stuff. There's going to be more delays. There's going to be a slowdown. You still have veterans that are filing disability claims. You still have veterans that have hesitated to file for disability claims just because they don't know or because they think it's a handout or whatever reason they may have. But at the same time, what are we doing to actually slow this down? What are we doing to actually justify this? Just because you get on the VA YouTube channel and decide to make a video telling me that this is what you plan to do, I've heard that before. I think everybody's heard that before. We've heard that from politicians all the time, where it's a sound good story at first because they want to make sure they don't lose their job. They want to make sure they stay in the position they're at. Doug Collins is not fighting for us. Doug Collins is being told you need to cut 80,000 people, and Doug Collins is going to cut 80,000 people. Where is the justification for it? What metrics did you use? How did you evaluate that? You know what? Dropping $80,000, that's the number. How did you even pick 80,000? It was just a memorandum sent from the president and Elon that we need to reduce 80,000. 80,000. Not 100, not 15, not 20, 80. How did you pick this number? Where did you get this number from? Where are you cutting from? Where are you actually doing it? And where are you fucking putting the money back into? Because it's easy to tell people, yeah, we're cutting this and we're saving you money, but you can't tell me where the money's actually going back into. That's a big problem. If you were to actually say, look, we don't know right now because we still got to figure it out, I'm cool with that. At least you're giving me some excuse for the time being. But right now, there's no excuse. There's 80,000 service members, prior service members, veterans, families being cut is not going to help the VA. You're not going to become more efficient when there's an overwhelming amount of people that need to be doing that job and haven't been able to do that job because they don't have enough people. Some of these positions and some of these offices were already understaffed to begin with. And now you're going to reduce them even more. So you're putting more pressure on the people that are supposed to do their jobs to do it. I was like, and that's what it is. It's just like there's no justification for it. And that's what bothers me. And the thing is it doesn't bother enough veterans. Because most veterans aren't aware or not paying attention to it. But all these benefits, whether you use them or not, are still available to you. They're still available to those battle buddies that you had while serving. So if you don't care about them, you just hurting everybody else that's a veteran. Because these programs are going to be cut. Programs are being cut. Changes are being made to the CFR. There's a difference all over the place with what people believe, what people see, and what's actually happening. Until we don't get some transparency and some clarification that actually acknowledges our concerns, we have a problem. If our concerns are not being taken care of, or they're going to be reduced, because remember, the biggest concern we had was wait times. What happened? They made changes. We want to get more homeless people off the street. What did happen? The HUD-VASH program. They made changes. You had the PACT Act get enacted. Oh shit, we got an overwhelming amount of veterans filing disability. Let's hire more people. So with all these people being hired, it's all throughout the same time period. All these people that are being hired that are being taught how to be better raters or CMP examiners or reviewers. If the funding isn't there and the cutting is going to slow down the process. And that's the biggest thing. It's just like, give me a justification. If they give me a justification, or they give veterans a justification, veterans are still going to be upset. But like I said, it's slowly taking and removing things that as long as veterans don't speak up about it and as long as veterans just stay to it and stick to it, we're going to lose out. Maybe not specifically you, but I might. Maybe one program I'm using may be cut. Maybe a program that you're using may be cut. Doesn't mean that it's going to be cut completely. But if you don't have the people to take care of you to look through or assist you through that program, it's going to affect you. So that's the biggest thing. 80,000 is not the solution. 80,000 will never be the solution. Not knowing where you're going to put the money or not knowing where you're getting the cuts from is a big thing. Doug Collins, I don't agree with the guy. I think he could be good if he just stood up for veterans more and wasn't a yes person. This whole, I'm going to keep making videos after one thing or another gives me more, I want to try to save face than actually give you information. Because everything that he said, there has not been anything concrete and it's just something generalized, spoken to veterans. So veterans are just like, hey, well, I at least told you were going to lose 80,000. I didn't tell you where. But it was just like, you got the war note. We don't know what the outcome is. Them Fraggles is coming. We don't know what they are. I hope veterans get their stuff taken care of. I hope veterans look into the issues that they need to. I hope they are filing and taking care and responsibly looking at what they can take advantage of and use as veterans. Because the more of the programs we use, the less chances of them cutting. The more we educate veterans on these programs and resources, the less chance of them being cut for not being used. But if people aren't using them, it's the easiest way to say, you know what, we don't need them. Easiest way to say, hey, veterans already know they're going to wait a long time to get their disability claims processed and approved or denied. It's not going to hurt them to wait a couple other months. And that could be their reasoning. We don't know. And that's why I said, just like as veterans, we need to put that word out. Let veterans know this is going on. This is what we're talking about. I've seen messages and a couple of videos of people saying that there is planning to be like a march on the state capitals of veterans, basically, to stand up and go to those politicians and tell them like, hey, we need to make sure that you are taking care of us veterans in your own state and not just letting us go off to the side because Doge decides it. A person that is not elected to any part of Congress or office in general. But we'll leave it at that. I'll keep an eye out. I'll keep on seeing these things. We have that 80,000. If they keep on pushing information and stuff like that, I'll make sure to push it out so that people have an awareness of, okay, this is the change that's coming. This is what they're saying they're going to do. This is what they're not saying they're doing. So that way, us as veterans have visibility. But also so that we can start hounding these people and holding them accountable. Because without that, we're going to lose out on things that are beneficial to maybe not you, like I said, but to veterans in general. And we got to make sure we don't allow that to happen. So if we keep on this way, it's just going to be a trickle slowly down effect of removing things and we lose out. We don't gain anything. We just keep on losing and losing. And it'll get to the point where it's just going to be either longer wait times, longer claim decisions, longer review time periods. With all this thing happening, we don't know. We just don't know. Until we do know, we need to start and continue asking these questions because you're a veteran, I'm a veteran, I'm concerned for veterans, and I hope you're concerned for veterans too. But the only way we can alleviate these issues and actually make the VA better is by reaching out, asking questions, asking how you're going to fix this, asking are you working on this, asking why you're removing this when it's being used or needed. Those are the questions we got to maintain. Those are the questions we need to make sure we are putting out to veterans to let them know like, hey, I appreciate you, but we need to be on our A game. Because otherwise, we ain't going to be in no game. The game is going to be rigged and it's going to be decided for us. And it's not going to be beneficial. So, I appreciate y'all. Hope y'all have a great rest of your day. Enjoy the weekend. Again, we have our workshop on Sunday, every Sunday. Tune in if you have any questions. We'll probably touch this subject a bit more if we have any more information come out the remainder of the day throughout the weekend. But as always, appreciate y'all. Y'all take care. Keep spreading the word. Keep making veterans be aware. I'll check you out on the next one. Peace.